What's up, people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Booth Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work, man. I literally just got back home. I've been on the road. I have driven about 300 miles today. Oh my goodness. And as soon as I get here, of course, news, it just don't stop when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Or should I really say, does this really count as for the Dallas Cowboys? Because one, David Irving, you remember David Irving, who originally was on the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad. Not a game now, practice squad. The Dallas Cowboys decided, we're going to take a flyer on this guy. And David Irving was one of those guys that had so much potential. Dude's tall. Dude's big. He's impressive. In fact, he looks a little bit with the hairdo like Aldon Smith. And he had some really good games. But the problem with David Irving was he had an attitude that I am better than 90% of the people out of there just rolling out of bed. In fact, he even said that about Jason Garrett. Maybe that's true. Maybe he did have more talent than Jason Garrett just rolling out of bed. But here's the problem. There's a lot of guys with talent out there. But the reality is you have to use your talent. You can't just be satisfied with saying, I can just roll out of bed and be better than 90% of people. You can't have that attitude because you will not last in a team sport. And he also had this saying that he liked Mary Jane. Yeah, he liked a little bit of the left-handed cigarettes. You know what I'm saying. He liked to get a little bit down. In fact, I think he started his own company there and had a few issues with Mary Jane, as well as Jason Garrett, because Jason Garrett basically sat him down and said, look, David, we love your ability. We need you to apply your ability. We need you to become the best player you can. But if you'd rather like to, go hang out with Mary Jane, by all means, go hang out with Mary Jane. But if you're going to be here with the Dallas Cowboys, we need you to say goodbye to Mary Jane. Okay? You got to let that go. And so David Irving was, I'm done. Now, I'm not saying that marijuana is, it was illegal at the time. The NFL is looking differently at marijuana. In fact, they're looking at it and doing studies on whether or not it helps with brain trauma. In fact, they're not testing for it like they used to. So the NFL has reinstated David Irving, who is a free agent, mind you. The Cowboys had cut him. So the Cowboys do not own his rights. David Irving is free to sign with any team he wants to. Now, again, this is another guy who's been out of the league for quite a while, for a few years. I think 2 years or is it 3? I got to go back and see. I just got off the road, okay? I just got off the road. I haven't had time to research it. Before tonight's live stream, I'll have the facts and the figures together on it. Now, see, a lot of people equate David Irving as well as Randy Gregory and say these two guys, man, all they want to do is smoke weed. Now, there was a little bit of a difference, I will say here, between the two. Yes, both of them like Mary Jane. Now, they both like Mary, and let's be honest here. An NFL Man of the Year, Chris Long, admitted that he smoked weed throughout his whole career. But what he did was, like most NFL players, they know somewhere around 421, the NFL is going to test you one time. And if you have a clean test then, they ain't testing you again until the next 421. So all you got to do is make sure you're clean on that test. So he said, hey, about 6 weeks before the test, that's why you take over the counter meds, you drink alcohol, you do something else, and then you're good the rest of the year. So if we're trying to say that only David Irving and Randy Gregory are the only two players in the NFL, that are smoking Mary Jane, then you'd be completely wrong. A lot of players smoke weed. It's a fact. No different than society, because a lot of you out there are smoking Mary Jane and still going to work and functioning. So the difference, though, I will say is this, and this is one of those things that sometimes you wake up and you're that guy in that bar who's having a drink and saying, I coulda, shoulda been somebody. I had the opportunity but didn't take advantage of it. And you look at Randy Gregory, much like Rolando McClain, who I was talking about, guys that have just raw talent and ability. But when you're in the NFL, the cream of the crop, you still have to hone that craft. You still have to constantly reinvent yourself and evolve and get better. You have to have the desire. You have to have the want to be part of a team. And to me, the difference with Randy Gregory was there was never any question about Randy Gregory getting along with his teammates or showing up for practice or having problems with the coaches. His only problem was the NFL said, yo, sit your ass down. You're suspended. You never once heard anything cross about Randy Gregory versus the coaching staff. And Randy Gregory, by the way, everybody says looking real good in practice. Okay? David Irving, there was always a conflict with coaching. So the question is, should the Dallas Cowboys kick the tires on Randy Gregory? And I'm going to say what Stephen Jones always says. Stephen Jones always says player acquisition is a 365-day-a-year job. And you look at anybody and everybody, and the bottom line is can they help your team? And I'll add on to it, can they help your team win? That's the bottom line. Can they help your team win? I don't know how much work David Irving has been doing. He applied for reinstatement, which means I'm trying to get back in, and maybe he's working out. But from the standpoint of looking at the attitude that he's had, the run-ins with the coaching staff and things like that, to me, it's a different beast than if you're talking about Randy Gregory. Unless he's been that guy sitting at the bar saying, damn, I screwed up. I had the world right there in front of me and didn't realize it. And now for the last 2 years, I've been trying to start a rolling paper company and things, and realizing what I had was really good and lost it. And that if I get the chance, I'm going to attack it differently. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. Now, I hope you guys tune into our live stream coming up 9 o'clock tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll be talking about Dak Prescott, the prognosis, Andy Dalton. Everybody keeps talking about those first couple of years of Andy Dalton. Why is it they don't talk about the last 4 years of Andy Dalton? And can the Dallas Cowboys win with Andy? Well, can anybody win with that defense? This and more, 9 o'clock Eastern. Be sure to be here, because I know I will be. I'll see you then. It's cold out here. It's cold.